So one little project I've had over a few years is to trying to get the garden a little bit fresher, meaning that I will put up some trees and berries. Offshore. The problem when you live on the west coast is that we constantly have wind, and the soil we have here is pretty bad, very sandy, so it's very difficult to get things to grow. But I've been trying around with a few species of apples. So for this year I bought 4 apple trees. I currently have 6. I put 2 down I think it was 4 years ago. It's that one over there and this one. And since it's September, usually we start the pruning. So I've been cutting down some branches. Normally what you want to do with apples is trying to get them as wide as possible and remove branches that are basically vertical. And ideally you will do that in the in July, August and September. These trees actually grow pretty much during the winter as well, so it's very good to cut them down before the winter time, and then you can do some last pruning in spring. One of the nightmare trees we have is actually a plum tree, and I'm currently pruning that now, but it's a challenge. Pruning plum trees is basically the same as you do with the apples. You just want to get rid of any branches that are vertical, and you want to remove all the leading branches, not all of them, but you can see in the middle there is a leading branch going up there, and you want to keep that as short as possible so it doesn't overgrow and produce more of these vertical branches. And a buddy of mine, he told me it's space and sunlight. So you cannot be too what's the word I'm looking for? You have to be a little bit more aggressive than what you usually would. And so this is basically everything that's been piling up from cutting it down. And these trees you would normally do twice a year. You will do one major pruning in September. And you will do one smaller pruning in spring before blooming. And you can actually take some pruning during the summertime as well, just to increase the amount of fruits the plum trees has. Because if you see there's too many flowers, just get rid of some, because then you will get better plums and not have a huge quantity with no taste at all. This is a typical example. If you don't do any pruning of a plum tree and apple tree, they will become like this. And it looks pretty impressive, but the thing is they get very big, and with not that many plums, and the ones you have, they will not taste as good. So this is the same species as over there, but ideally you want to keep the trees below 2 meters. And you can see here, when you don't prune it, you get a lot of these vertical branches like here, and you see the gapping between here. They're too tight, so they will not develop anything. There are no fruits on vertical branches. So yeah, so this is what happens if you don't do pruning. And this one is very old and I think ready to retire. With these, this garden is actually my dad's, this side. And the thing with the gardens is, it was his mom and dad that put these trees down, and he gets a little bit emotional about it. So I asked him, "Oh, we have to cut it down." He said, "No, you can't do that." And I guess that's, a lot of people have an issue with, they planted something when they were young and they don't want to cut them down. So I guess I will end up in the same way, I guess. I tried to create as much space as I can between the branches. Ideally you want the branches to be horizontally or like this, go slightly downwards. I might have to cut this branch in the spring, but try to get as much sunlight as in and trim the branches that are very close. So I might have to cut some here to allow for more space, and I need to maybe trim it in a little bit, especially on the left side here. I might have to cut down a little bit because I don't want the tree to get too big, because then it will use all the nutrients to grow, make branches, and not produce fruit. This was a very poor tree when I bought it, so it's basically just trial and error. We haven't got many plums the recent years, basically just because we haven't been pruning it the way we should, and we haven't been giving it proper nutrition. So, but that's about to change. I might get another plum tree this spring. They said this was a self-pollinating version, but I don't think so. I think it gets pollen from that tree over there, but I will probably put one next to it in the spring. As for the apple trees, I put them down. Basically I've dug a hole that is maybe 3 inches deeper than the bottom of the roots. I put manure, horse manure that I got from our neighbor, and a lot of water, and of course obviously soil on top. And right now I put down these supporting sticks. You might wonder why there's a big gap. The reason why that is we get a lot of wind, and when I tie them, I don't want these to be too close. But what happens, actually I will show it on the plum tree, which is a good example. I don't want the other branches to hit into the supporting poles or sticks or whatever you call it, because then they will get damaged. So basically I will just space them out and tie them up in that way. But this is what happens when you put these supporting sticks too close. So this one has been slamming it towards the supporting poles, and you get a big wound here. I was about to cut it up, but actually the first year we got plums on it, so I decided just to keep it. But it doesn't look too good, so I might just have to cut it down in the spring if there are no flowers produced on that branch. So just keep in mind when you do these supporting poles or sticks or whatever you call it, to leave a gap. There are some people that put them very close next to the tree, and I guess that's fine if you don't have too much wind and you just want to have a little bit of support, but we do have a lot of wind, so just bear that in mind, just to keep a distance. This last tree here I haven't mentioned. It's actually a peach tree. I don't think we will get any peaches on this. We get some green ones. I think they have rotten away, but I just wanted it because it looks pretty cool and it's a little bit different than all the apples and the plum tree over there. So it's just to get a little bit of variety into the garden. So it's only going to be that one tree. I'm not going to get any more. So I will go and get I will get a hammer now and some nails to attach the rope to these supporting sticks or whatever you call them. And we'll just tie these down now before the winter comes. I will do a proper barn tour a little bit later. Don't judge us on our system here to keep tools, but we're going to set up something differently. But that's not really what we are prioritizing now. Actually, this roof is relatively new. It was built in 2018 or 19. So it's an extension on the barn. It's about 60 meters long, the whole barn. It's a typical Scandinavian barn. So I'll go more into detail that a little bit later. So we need hammer. Oh, isn't that luck? And these, 8 of these. My voice sounds terrible, I know, but I've been down under the weather for a couple of weeks now with a cold. But I'm getting better. So then my voice will get a bit better, and I'm out of breath by just walking 20 meters. So that combined with not being in shape. So let's get after it. So what you want to do to tie them up is basically use a ute rope. You don't want to use wire or plastic or bale twine or anything like that, because that will obviously damage the tree. You can get these, and also you can get a band, but they are more expensive, and you can use those at a later stage. But as a starter for the first year, these are just fine. But later on, you probably have to move over to the band. So basically, I just made a loop around and tied them up in this nail. And you can have trees supporting it, but the wind comes either from that direction here or from that direction. We don't have any wind coming, or very rarely we get wind from that. So basically I just want to prevent the tree from going this north basically, and heading towards east. So if you have a very open area, you can of course put down 3 to tie them up, but this would suffice for this area. In the background you can see I have planted a hedge. That was done maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and they were like a foot tall when I planted, and they have just shot through the roof basically the last couple of years. I have no idea how tall that hedge will get, but the main purpose was to take the wind from the south, and more importantly just to get rid of all the noise from the traffic. Yeah. As long as it doesn't take any of the sun, but I don't think that would be a problem. We have planted this hedge down by the house as well, and at a different location, is just to protect the surrounding area from all the wind we have. You can see over there, or next to the house, that's the sea, the North Sea. So we are pretty much exposed to all the wind that is coming in from the Atlantic Ocean. too short. So, all done. They shouldn't be too tight. The reason why you want to have some movement on the tree. The movement, when the tree starts moving back and forth, it releases a hormone which strengthens the stem and also the branches. So this should suffice just to have some support on the wind. You might have to check up on these, a couple of times now in the beginning. They might loosen up a little bit. So yeah. So that's a little project going on. I think I might have to put down some more trees in the spring. I'm not sure how many I'm gonna get. But I kind of want to keep it pretty dense here. These will not be more than 2 meters tall. And the ideal distance between them should be around 2.5 to 3 meters. These are roughly 2.5, closer to 2 actually, because I want to cut them pretty much every year and keep them small, like this one. This is about 2 meters tall, and that one is 180. The same applies for the plum tree. I want to keep it small. So yeah, so that's a little bit update for me. Not a big one, but at least you get to see some other things that we're doing on the farm. The garden is something I really enjoy working in, and we do have a lot of lawn here. So putting up these trees reduces the amount of lawn we have to maintain. So that's a positive. So hope you have all a good day, and see you next month. Bye bye.